you touched on something I think I underserved even in here, which is if you asked me the role of the marketer today, I think it is the unifier. I can't think of anybody else in the company who has to touch more departments, to your very good point. That's your product and brand, that's your analytics, that's your financials, every aspect of that product development, you name it. And I really do believe that. And this notion of even creativity is tricky because we like to keep people out of that process, right? Because it's a tricky process to get too many hands in. Marketing and your marketing leaders of today, and I think your CMOs that I'm really admiring are those that really understand integration at the C-suite level and how their teams work across the company. So thank you for bringing that up.
My pleasure. Another question. Social platforms are, of course, a key aspect of brand building, and there is a growing movement to address the reality that the race for human attention has unleashed invisible harms to society. How will brands adapt, or how should brands adapt to this growing movement?
Yeah, so well worded. We've all seen the social dilemma and all the good and the bad. First, a tiny bit of empathy from having been a little bit on the inside here of that, is that because these brands grew so fast. So I'll just take Uber. The way Uber grew so fast was go alone. And what do I mean by that? Launch Spain, and they fully empower an individual in Spain to launch that business in that country. And they don't want them to be super connected to every other part of the company right now because it would slow them down. You couldn't get as big as they got in 9 years, into 10, 12, 11 years now, if they didn't. At the same time, it's an unregulated business, as were all of these social companies, right? It's an unregulated sphere with it's borderless and boundaryless. And so they grew not because they were trying to necessarily have these unintended consequences, but it was sort of a function or a byproduct of fast. Now we are all living with that. And now there is some intentionality of creating that network in a way that could do some harm. And so I think that's where our leadership comes in. I believe that if you're in a business that's unregulated, regulate yourself. I have really worked in three. In a way, sugar is getting more and more regulated. Certainly spirits, and now rideshare and the gig economy is getting regulated. So the first way is to self-regulate. And you guys talked about those reasons you love brands you love. It's because they have integrity and quality and authenticity and they're values driven. And that's not going to go away. And so if you're unregulated and there are unintended consequences brewing, it is on the company itself to really get at that and set up a set of values, set up a set of guardrails, have internal policies, really realize the responsibility that you have, and be unapologetic about those guardrails, because there is a lot of harm that can be done. And listen, that works in 20th century companies too. We monitored how we advertised to children or didn't advertise to children, how old the audience had to be before we could run certain advertising. Same in spirits. It's important and necessary because we have the tools that more than ever to change behavior.